Good evening, everybody, and welcome to tonight's episode of Hey Sister. Sister, what you doing over there?
Why are you looking like that?
Cause you see, we in different
Oh,
spaces.
gotcha.
Like I said, it's a conspiracy.
Well, it is back in the way it's supposed to be.
Well, there it is. All right, now, how y'all doing tonight? Hey, Jody, thank you for tuning
Hey,
in
Jody Jones.
tonight. How
Ooh,
you doing,
pretty
sister?
picture, pretty profile picture.
How you doing, sister?
I'm doing fine. I just was in the middle of a sentence and the PA said, "The show must begin."
Well, you
Okay.
see, my sister ain't even asked me how I'm doing. See how
How
that is? Uh-huh. Yeah. You see how that is?
how are you today, sister?
Well, sister, it was a rough go yesterday, but I'm better today. So, you
Good.
know, went out to Friday night. Thought I was it was a cool surprise birthday celebration. I don't know what I ate, but it said no go. So I actually woke up okay on Saturday morning, but then, if you just hear everything go, it was like, wait a minute, what's that? That's where it was over for the rest of the day. But I'm great. I'm better today.
Gotcha. Well, I'm
Thank you for
happy.
asking.
Yeah, no problem. I was gonna get there. I don't know. I am so spaced on. We have a lot to discuss.
Oh,
I'm not really sure how we're gonna discuss it all, and I certainly hope there are others that come in online and give us some.
please share it, everybody. Text a friend right now. Send them the YouTube link right now. Share it with them and say, come on in the room. Come join the conversation on Hey Sister. We want you to be active and engaged in the comments tonight because the truth is, it's a whole lot of foolishness going on. So tonight we're gonna talk about it's a conspiracy. It's a conspiracy. That's our theme for the night. Don't be fooled out here in these streets. Now, first we said we got to start off with a definition of conspiracy, right?
Well, yes, just so we can.
Let's level set on what it means. What is a conspiracy? Because right now the world is abound with conspiracy theories and conspiracy theorists.
Okay.
All right. But the meaning of a conspiracy, according to, we gonna say Merriam-Webster, because that's the kind of my dictionary of choice,
Mm-hmm.
is the act of conspiring together.
Yeah, I didn't like actually Miriam's because all of them. I do not like using a word.
So that means you got to go look up the root word, and you know what
Right.
we know. We always got to look, but it's about conspiring together. So when you look up conspire, right? Because you got to go to the root word, scheme, to join a secretive agreement to do unlawful or wrongful act, or an act which becomes unlawful as a result of the secret agreement.
Yeah, when you just put in conspiracy on Google, the Oxford Languages definitions, a secret plan by a group to do something unlawful or harmful. I think that kind of sums it up.
Well, and can there be good conspiracies? Can we conspire to do good? Let me ask that question.
I think that you can conspire to do good, but typically conspiracies have a negative connotation.
Okay. All right. Well, that's fair. Well, listen. Tonight, we're going to talk about what I believe, me, this one right here, because they got all kind of conspiracy. If you do a Google search on the top conspiracies, honey. We still dealing with birtherism. People still thinking Barack Obama was born somewhere else. We still dealing with hey, people thinking that the earth is flat and we didn't land on the moon. Like all of these things are still out there. Um
Mhm.
and see, so what happens, at least what I see in some of the CON conspiracies, there's always a thread, a little piece that might have this much truth, and then people want to link it all together. I don't know.
By the way, it's and I saw this the other day. Um, you know, Taylor Swift,
Hmm.
Fox News. There's a conspiracy theory that she's a Pentagon um
Operative, yeah.
operative, and yeah, I think the Pentagon, let me see. Believe they responded with one of her songs, but I don't know that her song's good
Yeah, they
enough.
said shake it off. They said,
Take it
they're
off.
gonna
Yeah.
yeah, shake it
That's what
off.
it was.
Yeah. Hmm.
But they did a whole thing on Fox News, which I mean, we'll get
Which
into
tells
different.
you they are neither news or newsworthy. How about that?
Yeah. Well,
I digress.
yeah,
But let's
sorry.
get into some of these. No, because again, they did a whole segment. Like they did the dedicated time. Someone did some research, if you want to call it that, but really just espousing anything that came out of their mind and out of the top of their head. And they was like, yeah, and we're gonna run this on our news station
Yeah.
because she told people to vote, and then they got people who registered to vote. Well, ain't that what you're supposed to do as an active and engaged citizen with a platform?
I mean, you should definitely do something more than talk about foolishness, albeit I do enjoy my share of foolery, as you clearly do too, because you sent me the information about the pastor at the church. And
We gonna get to the pastor because listen, these pastors are wilding out. Well, you know what the thing is, everybody is a reporter now because they have one of these.
yeah,
So we're seeing things that we would not have seen before. We seeing things that we would not have seen before. Why? Because everybody's
everybody
a
has a
reporter
phone.
now. But let's dive a little deeper into like why there's so many conspiracies and why, I guess one of the questions I have is why do people fall victim and prey to conspiracies? And I want to talk a little bit about misinformation and disinformation.
Mm-hmm.
You know, misinformation, we all can misspeak, be misinformed, say the wrong thing, make a mistake. But
Mm-hmm.
usually, if you present some misinformation, once you get different data and facts, you go back and correct yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Disinformation is knowingly providing something that is not true. And we had, like you just said, with Fox News, for instance, that's why they were sued to the tune of however million billions of dollars by um the election software company or the Dominion uh systems. Why they were sued by them is because they knowingly knew that there was nothing wrong with their voting machines, but they put that out there anyway. That's disinformation. When
Right.
you intentionally tell and spread lies.
Mm-hmm.
And there's so much disinformation, misinformation becomes disinformation because if you say something wrong and then you run with it because everybody's a reporter now, then it becomes disinformation because people keep spreading it knowing that it's not based in any fact. And I think that right there is leading to so many people falling into these traps. and not using their own prefrontal cortex or trying to get some valid resources of information and what have you. I don't know. What is it, sister? Why everybody falling for this?
Well, first of all, I want to say that the conversations that the topics that we have listed on tonight are not necessarily conspiracy theories. They are actual things that are happening in our society. I think that there are underlying questions about why these things are happening, when the timing of them, when we hear about these things, and how they're positioned and presented to us. So when we go to have a conversation about misinformation versus disinformation, misinformation can, as the definition suggests, be deliberate or accidental, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
But disinformation is absolutely for the purpose of spreading propaganda. And so um, I think that just like with all of the things that we drop in here, right? We drop links, we drop definitions, we drop stories. It's not for you to take that, or anybody to take that as the end all be all, right? If you read about a story, if we tell you about something we watched, we have the full expectation that people are going to do additional research, because as all of us know, at least when we were growing up in school and we had to write papers for an example, you couldn't just use one source of information. Not only did you have to use multiple sources, you had to cite which sources you were using. And there was a distinction between credible sources like a periodical, encyclopedia, newspaper, a specific newspapers, and say the tabloids. So there
Mm-hmm.
was just there were different layers there.
Yeah,
So
because the New York Times and the New York Post are not equivalent sources.
they aren't, albeit I will say that I don't think the New York Post is true, is wholly inaccurate in its reporting. I just think you know the quality maybe of the reporting or journalism is maybe not the same. So nonetheless, there are a lot of topics that we're going to get hit on, and maybe as people listen to what these topics are, they'll understand why there are so many conspiracy theories out there.
Well, production assistant, let's go with the first topic we have. Hmm.
So a real thing truly happened. North Korea
That's why I said
fired
they always start with this much truth, right?
one.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay.
Um, but now I think the question is, okay,
So
so
let's tell people what the true thing that happened. North Korea fired a missile. It was confirmed by South Korea. It's confirmed by Japan that they have decided to. Why they decide to start? Okay, now that's when the conspiracy started. But they have fired some missiles, right?
yes.
Hmm. Go ahead. I'm gonna let you take it.
No,
Mhm.
I mean, just according to Reuters, the U.S. military said the launch wasn't an immediate threat, but that it highlighted the destabilizing impact of North Korea's weapons program, according to a statement from the U.S. Indo-Pacific Command. In November, North Korea said it successfully tested solid fuel engines designed for immediate range ballistic missiles. And then in December, it said it had tested its newest intercontinental ballistic missile to gauge the war readiness of its nuclear force against what it called mounting U.S. hostility as Washington and its allies began operating a real time missile data sharing system. So, at the end of the day, there's always been tension between North Korea and South Korea. That's a thing. And North Korea, as we know, Kim Jong un is the leader of North Korea. And he's always reminding, every few months, he wants to remind folks that he has missile capabilities as well. So, missile was launched. That is the truth. Now, my sister, CO Inspiracy, here wants to understand why the timing of this amongst all the other things that we have going on. So, you may take it from here, sister, because I don't know. I feel like
Because see, they
I'm
also fired some ballistic missile tests in the year of our Lord 2020. What was happening in that year? Also, a presidential election. Hmm. Go back, look. So here it is. This what a CO conspiracy is, y'all. CO conspiracy. Go back and look the timing and when they decide to start testing and firing stuff off. I was gonna use another word, but I'll say stuff off. Uh just go take a look. Look at the time frame.
So,
Just go look at
sister,
the time frame.
so should I deduce from your comments that you believe that these things are aligned to the U.S. presidential election cycle because you believe that those who are firing off the missiles are aligned to a certain political agenda here in the United States? Is that what I'm hearing you say?
Could be not. I'm just saying in March 2020, they fired off, they did a whole bunch. We was in the middle of COVID. So we was in the middle of COVID.
Well,
Why
not
you needed
really
to
the
test
middle.
some
That's
middle?
when we really kind of kicked it off in the US. I
That's
mean,
in the US, but over there, because they're a lot closer to China, it was full on, full fledged going. So we was in COVID.
mhm,
Why you
mhm,
need to test some missiles during the middle of a pandemic when your people's is dying and sick? But
because
happens in March 2020, that's when those big primary contests, North South Carolina, and this, that, and the other. I'm just saying.
okay.
I'm just saying. I ain't saying, but I'm saying.
Okay.
You just have to wonder why, when, why, and how does certain stuff start popping off when it start popping off.
So
So
today there was a Iowa.
the Iowa caucuses start tomorrow.
Oh, I thought it started today, and
Or did
it.
it start today? They out there in the freezing cold trying to knock on people's doors.
I mean, I don't know if they're knocking. I just think because I thought this weekend there was. Anyway, maybe it's tomorrow.
I think it's tomorrow. I think that they're getting ready. They are caucusing, uh, preparing to show up to their different caucus places.
Okay, well, let's see.
Yes.
Iowa caucus. Um, well, it says results gonna be around
Mm.
6:45 p.m. Mountain Time tomorrow. So
Yes. So I think it starts tomorrow morning.
okay.
I'm
So
just saying.
you feel like the timing of the missile is aligned to the US presidential election
I
or
think the
not?
I think that it's curious when you want to further destabilize uh that certain actions are taken, because we're going to talk about some more folks firing off missiles and doing some different things. But I don't know. I would wonder what y'all think in the comments. Y'all tell me, is it me, or is this timing just seem make you
So are
head scratch?
so speaking of the timing of the Iowa caucuses, Chris Christie dropped out on January 10th. But
Mhm.
I'm guessing his it was too late for his name to be removed. So it looks like his name is still going to be on the ballot, along with a few other people. I thought I saw like Asa Hutchinson still on there. I don't know. Is Vivek still around? Is he still doing something?
Yeah, girl. Vivek done say he done been to all 99 counties twice.
Okay, Vivek. Okay, I have so many thoughts about that. But anyway, so do you have questions about Chris Christie's timing that's associated with the caucus and the primaries, caucuses and primaries?
Um, Not so much. He was always fighting a losing battle. And what's interesting, so today I had someone knock on the door and was like, "Hey, I'm out, want to make sure you vote and such by such and such time." And I was like, "Thank you. I am registered as an independent and am not allowed to vote in the primary.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And in this state. Now, in some states you can. New Hampshire, I think, is one where independents can choose. I want a Republican ballot or I want a Democratic ballot. They can choose. I think Mississippi might still be that way as well. But there
Mm-hmm.
are some states out there where independents have that freedom, which I really think it should be that way everywhere. And I believe that if independents were allowed to choose which primary they wanted to vote in, we would not have all the extremes that we have and the extremism that we have. And we probably would not have the people who's the most likely Republican nominee, probably wouldn't be the most likely Republican nominee, because the extremes are what make that happen. And then you get to general elections and lose handily because there's a large swath of people who are independent. But I am concerned with the level of misinformation and disinformation and conspiracies that are causing people to not really dig deeper
Mm-hmm.
and make decisions and vote on candidates without actually vetting some of the information and sources that they receive, and even from candidates. Child, honey, if a political ads ain't nothing but a bunch of misinformation and lies, child, please.
They are. Arizona is also has open primary, and we can choose as well which ballot we would want. I would say this. So as far as Chris Christie dropping out, obviously, as Lakeisha says in the comments, it kind of helped Nikki Haley put her over. It's a very weird thing though with for me with Nikki Haley. And you and I talked about this a bit. You know, she seems to be, you know, what do you say, a forked tongue, or as we say, talk out the side of her neck, or you know, what have
Talk
you,
out of both sides of her mouth.
mouth. Yes. I think
What
that
she do? She talk out of both sides of her mouth.
she you know, oh,
Nimrata.
obviously, obviously it's what is the most amazing to me is that Donald Trump has not showed up to anything, and he doesn't have to. That is what's amazing to me, that he actually does not have to show up and say anything, and still very well may win the nomination, and to be actively involved in the court systems right now. That is amazing to me. But with Nikki Haley, the challenges. So Chris Christie obviously had finally decided to be one of the people to say vehemently speak against Donald Trump, and has indicated that anybody who supports him should also not be president of the United States. He's not fit, and anybody who supports him should is not fit either. Well, we know at one
Agreed.
point, but at one point, all of them supported him, right?
Absolutely. That's why he wasn't fit to run either. That's like, as far as I was concerned, because I was like, bruh, oh, now you saying all of this, but you was helping him prep for his debates against Joe Biden. Shut up. You
Right.
gonna
Well,
get religion now.
and Nimrata worked in his administration,
Cabinet. Mm-hmm.
um and until he started beating uh, Trump, you know, DeSantis was clearly one of the largest supporters. So it begs the question, like, if the person you were supporting saying don't support people who support this guy, and they all supported this guy, then what do you do? Because obviously too many people are so caught up on the R and the D behind a person's name that they would never cross over, if you will. So, and really and truly, like you said, in a lot of ways, our elections don't even really allow for you to cross over. Really don't allow for you to say, I want to vote for somebody who does not have the same. I might have registered as this in 1985, but today that party doesn't look the same as it did when I registered. So now I want to support somebody else. And in so many cases, it doesn't, you're not even allowed to do so. So I really don't know. I mean, if there are any Republicans out
So
there.
is that a CO conspiracy? How this system is set up with these party system and closed primaries and really not allowing the true voice of the majority to be heard? To me, it sounds like a CO conspiracy.
Absolutely not a CO conspiracy. Not a conspiracy at all. That's a PLAN plan.
Ooh, okay, sister. Sister say that's a plan. That ain't a
Or
CONC.
a DEC ism decision. Like it's not
Or an AGENDA agenda.
agenda. Right. Right. Yeah.
It's something.
There is no conspiracy at all involved in that. That is absolutely purposeful and intended to keep people who, because as we talked about it, look how many people are saying they're not going to vote. So it's doing exactly what the system is working exactly as it was intended.
A mess. I cannot.
But you had some other things happening around the globe. And let me just be the first one to say. So this month of January, I've taken a bit of a social media break. So I haven't, if somebody sends me something, I'll look at it. I'm not being like, oh my gosh,
Y'all, she making me work overtime to have to send her these damn links and stories and stuff so we can be prepared for Hey Sister. She doing dry January on social media.
Yes. Because and what I realized,
do dry January when we literally come and talk about stuff every Sunday. What?
Well,
take a break now.
What I realized in this time is, I absolutely don't miss the negative stuff, but I do miss like some of the funny things that keep you motivated, uplifted, laughing throughout the week or what have you. And the challenge is when you watch the news, because you still want to be informed. And so when you watch the news, it's like that one or two little, here's for our feel good story of the night. It's like after you done drugged me through the mud, the whole 55 minutes of the of the hour. Now you want to give me the good story for the night, the feel good story of the night. It's like, I don't feel good at all. So that has been the challenge with having a dry January on social media. But this stuff is a lot. Like as we were just preparing and you asked the question, like all of a sudden we were talking about the situation in Israel. So we were talking about the Israelis and the Palestinians, Jews, Muslims, blah, 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 biblical time, blah. Not like you said, who are the Houthis? Where y'all came from?
Who are the Houthis?
And is it Houthi or is it Houthi? Like, I don't even really know. Should I be pronouncing the second H or not? Who are they and where they came from? And why they felt they have to be involved now.
Because you know what I'm thinking about? Because see, when they was the Houthis, when I first started hearing everybody talk about the Houthis, I was reminded about the Hutus and the Tutsis and the Hutus and the Rwandan genocide. Remember? Right. That was a whole thing. Then we got a whole nother clique out here in Yemen, the Houthis. And so, I had to start looking. I was like, who are these? Who? And so it's a subset, not even the real set. So it's not even the real Crips. It's the subset of the Crips, right? Because the truth is, as I've been, because this has been going on now for not just months. It predated my birth. It's been going on for millennia. And what I'm trying to understand is, because there are Jewish Palestinians and there are Arab Israelis, Muslim Israelis. So what I'm confused about is all of these, everybody got a set, right? So like we got the Bloods and the Crips, and then you got the, Uptown and the Third Ward, and don't whatever city you from. What city y'all represent? What was your set in your cities? Where you from? Because we had Marydale and Midland, and everybody got a damn set. And so here we go with the Houthis because you know in Marydale and Midland, but then you had different streets. Like, because if you lived on this street, it was different from you living on this street. So it's like you a subset of another of the Shia Muslims. So there's the Muslims, then there's Shiite Muslims, and then you a subset of that. And I was like, what and why? A. B. Who is really funding you and supporting you? CEO conspiracy. C. Why now? Like y'all been at war in your own country for a long time. But see,
Yeah.
now
So,
you starting to upset two things. One, before all of this popped off on October 7th, all the talk was about Israel and Saudi Arabia normalizing relations. Israel and Saudi Arabia were going to normalize relations. That's what was being talked about. And then Hamas, because what the hell is a Hamas, decides to pop off, right? So
right.
there we go with that. Then the Houthis were like, oh no, y'all doing, we gonna respond to what y'all doing, but this ain't even in your country. So we gonna start firing off at the at shipping and try to disrupt shipping in the Red Sea. Oh, so we can keep inflation going and prices high, because you know when prices high and inflation, then who do they blame? It's a presidential election season. I don't know about you, but it just seemed interesting to me. I don't know. Let's see what some of y'all sets. Y'all drop y'all sets in there. Ain't
um,
nobody drop y'all sets in there, because see,
and
we the back of Kmart crew. That's
we
what
was
we
back
grew up.
again.
We grew up back of Kmart.
Even though Kmart is
And
well,
Kmart don't ain't that no more. But see, y'all don't know about that Dell Champs. See, we came up when there was Dell Champs before Rouse's. All of that, we was back at Kmart and Dell Champs. Y'all don't, and K and B. That's what we was.
yes, yes.
The Parish Road. Off
So
Parish Road.
this is what I'll say about the Houthis. So I was just reading this. It says, so first of all, a decades-long civil war in Yemen, which is I find to be extremely interesting because, like you said, until
It's been a
certain
couple of decades, because Barack been out of office a while, and Barack was doing all kind of drone strikes on them because to stop this civil war and all the stuff that they was going on in.
Well, this says, according to Al Jazeera, Yemen has been in a decade-long civil war as the Houthis maintain control of parts of the country. It goes on to say that Yemen's civil war has plunged the country into what the United Nations called the world's worst humanitarian crisis in March 2023. An estimated 21.6 million people, or 2/3 of Yemen's population, are, quote, in dire need of humanitarian assistance and protection services, according to the UN. It goes on to say fighting between Houthis and the military coalition, however, largely subsided last year. In 2023, the Yemeni rebels and government forces also exchanged about 800 prisoners over 3 days. So it is interesting the timing of their decision to start now trying to block passage in the Red Sea and creating friction, if you will, with the United States of America. One, I don't think that that's the best decision making. But two, as you said, it does, anytime you have a shipping crisis, and you all will remember when everybody suddenly learned about supply chain and
Everybody was talking about supply chain.
the supply chain, because they had the issue in I believe it was Panama, where one of the ships had gotten stuck or something like
In the
that. So,
Suez Canal. Yep.
yeah. So, and then we had all these supply chain issues, and seemingly we haven't bounced back from those supply chain issues yet. But to your point, even though the stock market and other metrics that are typically used to suggest that the economy is healthy, or jobs reports and things like that, to suggest that the economy is healthy, people are like still feeling it either at the pump, even though gas prices have gone down, they feel it at the pump, or they feel it at the grocery store because whatever the price of eggs are and milk, that determines whether or not,
But
you
they
know,
didn't feel it too much over these Christmas holidays because they spent more money than they ever have before. I
listen,
mean, I'm just make it make sense to me, sister.
I'm gonna make it make sense. Here in the United States of America,
Mm-hmm.
we do have a two-party system. It
Mm-hmm.
is by design. One of
Mm-hmm.
those parties has decided to lean in into racism, white supremacy, anti healthcare for women. They have leaned in and have created a narrative and have become masterful storytellers, even though it may be lies, masterful storytellers and regurgitating the story. And a lot, and then now their followers, and it's the same playbook as one young lady said the other day, same talking points, because abortion is about the health of the fetus and about killing children and saving the lives of children and all that. They have become masterful at telling their story. The other party is not so much, and they sitting up here and allowing, instead of saying, y'all, let's look at, let me run y'all these numbers, instead of just having some real conversation, they still trying to fight. The perception is it's a really terrible time right now because prices are really high. Food is really high. The gas prices are really high. Everybody is out of a job. Nobody is working right now. And they are running this story, and the people who have the power of shifting the narrative are not. So
Mm-hmm.
that's what it feels like to me, at least, because I'm like, it's one of those things. How you gonna tell me what I did and didn't do when the numbers say exactly what's going on?
And
So
I'm gonna drop a thing in here because the other thing is workers' pay is higher than it ever has been. So, okay, CEO conspiracy. If y'all go look at your 401ks, if you have one, if you have invested in the stock market in any way, shape, or form, it is at the highest it has ever been. For those of you, so they raised the rates of interest, trying to slow down, try to stop y'all behinds from spending so much, but you kept spending. Why? Because you got a firm, you got afterpay, you got this, that, and the other to just run up and use more money. And but you want to say things are high, but you not doing nothing to take advantage of the higher interest rate, like get a CD or and put a savings account in place so you can take advantage of the high interest rates while they're in place. Because when they lower those interest rates, you're gonna say, "Oh, you ain't getting no return on your money." Put a pin in that. But every corporation is doing better, right? Because they raised prices and we allowed those prices to stick because
we kept buying
um huh
because we kept buying.
because we kept buying and keep buying. We kept buying and keep buying, and that's why those prices have stuck and things have stayed high because every dang on corporation out there, every CEO, what they talk economic headwinds, and we still ain't had no. They was all talking about the headwinds, and I was like, but we ain't had
Girl,
the
don't get me
recession yet.
started on the headwinds. Don't get me started on the headwinds.
You heard about the economic headwinds?
Oh, I heard
Or
about
is it a CEO conspiracy that all of these corporations and CEOs still raping and pillaging you and you talking about what prices are high? It's called supply and demand for a reason. So if we stop with the spending, guess what? The prices of all of this stuff will come down. But I digress.
Well, I will say this about the economic headwinds.
Economic headwinds.
I'm still, I,
They
I,
blowing
so
me.
what
They
bothered
blowing me
me,
back.
what bothered me was it was macroeconomic headwinds, because I was like, well, if it's macro, that means everybody would be impacted, right? So
Mm-hmm.
how is it that the company that I'm with, and this not right now, but I'm just saying the company I'm with is he getting hit by the wind? The wind hitting us, but the wind ain't hitting our competitors. Why the wind ain't hitting them? So, but anyway, um, yeah, macroeconomic headwinds is all was definitely a buzzword. I will say this: I think it's a very what is a CEO conspiracy to me is how, like you said, all of these companies are doing much better financially, and yet we have the Elon Musks of the world who say we no longer need DEI. DEI is actually not productive for us. It is actually dangerous. It actually is, the reverse racism. All again, all the same talking points in the playbook.
Mm-hmm.
When we have seen DEI initiatives are actually better for companies' financial bottom line.
Mm-hmm.
And yet we have an attack on those things right now. And companies are doing financially well. So the ones that are doing well will just say, see, it's not because of those. It wasn't because we diversified our workforce or actually allowed people to work from home or actually thought about what it means to have a disability in the workplace. It is because we just sold more widgets and y'all bought them no matter how high they went up.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the real conspiracy. How does CEO pay keep going up, but then you getting rid of all these diversity programs?
You huh? What is CEO pay today?
I don't know. Let's see. What is the average pay of a Fortune 500 CEO?
I don't know.
CEOs is different. Like, let's average
Oh,
pay.
it said it had skyrocketed 1,460% since 1978.
This says over the last decade, the median pay awarded to CEOs across S&P 500 companies has doubled. In 2021, this number hit a high of 14.7 million. However, in 2022, the median CEO compensation package hit a wall for the first time in a decade as it slightly fell to 14.5 million. That was reported in September on September 19th, 2023. So, girl, they took a hit, girl. 200,000 had to go down to 14.5 million.
I mean, hey, all right, what ifs?
All right. So
All right,
Taiwan
we got.
elects, they had an election. I was just in
Oh, okay.
Taiwan. It's interesting. I definitely don't remember seeing any political ads or signs.
Hmm.
Different.
Mhm.
But they had an election and they elected, let me see here. I'm not gonna attempt to probably. Oh, Lei Ching-te, Taiwan's current vice president, was declared victory on Saturday evening, while his two opposition rivals both conceded defeat. It is Taiwan's ruling Democratic Progressive Party that pulled off the historic third consecutive presidential victory on Saturday, and you know I guess the newly elected president said something to the people that said, this is a night that belongs to Taiwan. We managed to keep Taiwan on the map of the world. The election has shown the world the commitment of the Taiwanese people to democracy, which I hope China can understand. And China responded and said Taiwan is part of China. They said what they said. Yeah, so I think it's interesting. At the heart of all of this stuff, it feels like it's always about power and control, and it makes me wonder what is we've talked about it before. What is this in the human condition that suggests that nobody wants to be on the bottom rung of the ladder, that everybody wants to rule somebody else, control somebody else, oppress somebody else, bully somebody else? What is that about the human condition? I often wonder how much better will we be if, I'm not, look, of course, when you have a capitalist society, some places you got communist society, and other places, I don't expect there ever to be a level playing field in any way, shape, or form. But I do often wonder what might life feel like if everybody wasn't trying to oppress somebody.
Ooh, child.
I don't know. I don't know. What y'all? That's where I'm at with
Wouldn't
it.
it be a wonderful thing if we could just let people be? Mm.
Yeah, it seems like it. I mean, because we're just touching on a few global stories, but it's like there's so many more, and some we don't even know about.
So this is another one we gonna throw out here about a conspiracy.
Okay, conspiracy. Come
Who
on,
are
spirit.
these evangelicals? Because they said in Iowa, the person who has the most evangelical support is the man who been divorced. I don't know how many times, twice divorced, three baby mamas, one wife, ex-wife died under mysterious circumstances and buried her in at a golf
At the
course.
golf course, yes, yes, yes. But I sure let it
Got
happen. So.
charges on, got rape charges over here. Got stealing, inflating and lying about your property charges over here.
Got
But
election
that's who the
charges.
evangelicals in support. What does
Okay.
it mean? Let's look up what's the definition of evangelical. What does that even mean? Because I'll tell you what, it's a lie about what they done told us.
Well, the meaning has certainly changed. So,
It's a
um,
lie.
according to this, so I just put in evangelical, right? It says, meaning this thing, the National Association of Evangelicals. What is an evangelical? Evangelicals take the Bible seriously and believe in Jesus Christ as Savior and Lord. The term evangelical comes from the Greek word euangelin, maybe, meaning the good news or the gospel. Thus, the evangelical faith focuses on the good news of salvation brought to sinners by Jesus Christ. That's the good news. That's what they're proclaiming. That is the definition that they're providing. I didn't know that evangelical was a faith though. So I thought
Because
Christianity was the faith, and the people who evangelized the gospel of Christ were the evangelicals, but I could be wrong. Because
but it tells you how it's been twisted.
oh yeah.
How it's been twisted, how it's been corrupted, how and I saw some, few shows about this and conversations about this, and I know that Rob Reiner and another gentleman have a documentary that's going to be coming out around this same topic. But again, they seem to be the ones who are most susceptible to
Mhm.
conspiracies because it was, Pizzagate, all these people who is professing Christ and Christianity is involved in some of the most despicable things,
Mhm.
like January 6th, and saying we're going to take our country back that we never even had in the first place because it didn't belong to us. I mean, I don't know, but it's this corruption, is this deviance around. It's about power. It's about white supremacy. It's about because and none of the evangelism that I have heard are from them red words in the Bible. Because I read my Bible. I don't know about these people. I don't know what Bible they reading, but I don't know.
Well, so I put in the link, and maybe Pia can drop that about Rob Reiner's film. Rob Reiner takes on Christian nationalism threat in God and Country trailer. The documentary from director Dan Portland explores right-wing religious extremism and the danger it poses to both the United States and Christianity itself. Um, as we talked about, we love to talk about our Sunday school, and we had Sunday school this morning. And one of the things that I noted is the term Christian, as far as what I was taught growing up, was that it meant Christ like, right? And so when we think about truly who Christ was, whether you believe he's the Messiah or not, whether you believe he's the Savior or not, take that out of the conversation. And sometimes that's part of the issue, right? We don't start where we can have an intellectual conversation about certain things. So take your belief system out of the conversation. Let's talk about who Jesus was or is. Because whether, no matter what your belief system is, if you have any levels of faith, Jesus is a character, and by character I mean a person in those different stories that have been told about faith and religion and what have you. Jesus lived a certain type of life, and that life was not one of oppressing other people.
Mm-hmm.
It was, in fact, seeing the least amongst us. Again, I saw the Book of Clarence this weekend, and there's this scene there where it's portraying the stoning of Mary Magdalene, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, yeah, Jesus asked, he who is without sin cast the first stone. This is the type of life that we're supposed to be emulating. The type of life we're supposed to be emulating is when we hear the lies, when we hear the conspiracies, when we hear the misinformation and disinformation that we know is meant to purposely divide us. We're supposed to be
And
turning.
gaslight us. We supposed to be flipping the tables over, saying hell no.
Well, maybe not that, but
Oh.
but yes, we're supposed to be flipping the tables. We're supposed to be using the word, right? Studying it to show ourselves approved, and using that to guide the way we exist and relate to one another. So for me, this whole conversation about who evangelicals are and taking the Bible seriously, do you? If you believe in Jesus Christ as Savior and Lord, do you believe him to be a man of modesty? Do you believe him to not care about how much money a person makes in order to be around it? Do you believe that he cared for the least amongst us? If so, like I think I was telling you the story about in Seattle, they gonna spend $700,000 on boulders to prevent homeless people from setting up tents. Why you all spending $700,000 on trying to help some of the homeless people get housing? Like certain stuff like that. That just feels like it's antithetical to everything that evangelicals say that they are. Because Christ, if we're being Christ-like, Christ was not like any of this stuff that I see from the very people who claim to be evangelicals.
And the man who currently serves as Speaker of the House, who, when he first was interviewed, when he got the job, and they asked him, well, how is he going to lead? And he said, you read the Bible, it's by the Bible. But this is the man who also was helping advance the lie, false electors in a lie. And now he's in power. And who's going to have to certify this next election?
Yeah.
But he is a Christian according to him. But
right.
he will bold face lie to you and say he a Christian. He didn't go down to the border to wash nobody's feet like
Right.
Jesus did.
Right.
He went there to say, how can we keep people out? He's supporting somebody putting barbed wire in the water so as people
Water.
trying to cross through the river. But
Yeah.
you consider yourself evangelical? I don't know. I don't know. I think what they
And I
are.
don't think Jesus would. I understand that there's look. I won't say that there's not a border crisis. Absolutely, but if there's a
Hey.
But if there's a border crisis, then how there there was the dude that y'all want to support specifically referred to certain countries as S-hole countries, and specifically said, why don't we have more people coming from XYZ place? Because their lifestyle is better in those places than here. But you don't have the same concern for the northern border as you have for the southern border. So why is that? Why is it that you have people on, again, talking about folks who look like folks like we were talking about with the Israelites and the Palestinians? You got people who in Texas on one side of the
They
border,
first cousins.
first cousins, trying to keep them out, and voting for somebody who typically, when people themselves have been discriminated against, they typically have a different perspective and a different approach. This man is disabled in a wheelchair and is fine and wants to be one of the most ruthless and heartless individuals there is. I'm not saying that your economy can necessarily
But they also need all of those people to come in and pick the fruit and pick the food that then gets served up in the grocery stores, because that's where the issues are having, is that we don't have people to come and pick these fruits
well, also, and they also want those folks to come into their households
and take care of their
and
children
take
and
care
clean
of
their
their
houses.
children and clean their houses and build new developments. They don't, they want you to do that, but they also want to oppress you at the same time.
Same time.
And
But then, so what are they evangelizing? Because see, to me, the evangelism is the evangelism of capitalism. It's the evangelism of division. It's the evangelism of, because they are evangelical. They are sharing a message. They just ain't sharing the message of Jesus Christ.
well, but they define it as the good news or the gospel. And that's where I go
The
back to,
gospel according to Trump, or the
that's
gospel
why I
according
go
to
back.
who? Or the
That's why,
gospel according to
listen, earlier I was like,
Bill O'Reilly? I mean,
maybe we
who?
maybe we need a new
Rupert
marketing,
Murdoch?
maybe
I
we
don't
need a
know.
new marketing campaign. Maybe we, Christian is not the word, evangelical. Maybe we need to be Jesusites. I don't know, but I'm like, it's unfortunate, really unfortunate that for people who I do believe are truly in the body of Christ and they're trying to live a Christ-like existence. And trust me, like I said before, God's children make it real hard to live a Christ-like existence. Um, for those who are actually trying to do it, it becomes it becomes a challenge because you have people who have bastardized beliefs, who have
Mhm.
bastardized definitions and taken on certain things and say, I'm an evangelical. I don't believe in, again, as we talked about, I don't believe in abortion under any circumstance. And but I'm pro-life. And so if a mother is dying, bleeding out, it's she has to have hit a certain threshold of almost to the cross, almost to the upper room before we can help her. That don't seem like what Christ would do. It just don't. So I think the conspiracy and all of this is that if those who are truly in the body of Christ don't stop allowing these terms to be thrown around. It's like you and I have talked about the soccer mom before. When you
Mhm.
say soccer mom, what are you really trying to say? Are you
Mhm.
saying white woman with some children? Just say
Mm.
white woman with some children, because it's plenty of black women who are suburban soccer moms. It's plenty of non-white women who are suburban soccer moms. So say what you're really trying to say. And when you say evangelical, if you're saying folks who traditionally vote Republican, who are largely considered white in this country,
Oh,
and
the one I love the best is working class work voter. Child, I've been working for a long ass time and y'all ain't talking about me.
Yeah, I'm trying not to be working class every day. I'm really like, how might I not be a working class voter? How might I be an independently wealthy voter? How might I be Blue Ivy Carter at this stage of my life?
Oh my Lord, my
How might
Lord.
I get on stage and dance with my mother and make
Well,
$1 million?
honey, you could get on some stages and dance with your mama because she would get on
But
the
I
stage
don't
and
think
dance.
we're gonna make a million. I don't think I'm gonna make a million.
I don't know. Maybe
So
back in the day, you passed that
I
about 20.
missed my window.
You missed your window. You missed your shot. Listen, I will say this in closing, y'all. There's a lot of conspiracies out there. There's a lot of things that are happening out in the world. And sometimes we can say that these things are random. Sometimes we can say that there certainly seems to be a pattern. But I will say this to all of us: we should be definitely have our eyes and ears open. We should not be fooled. We should be verifying sources. We cannot be sucked into these vacuums of misinformation and disinformation, even when it comes from your known trusted sources. Always get you should have at least a second and a third source to verify. um Make sure that it is reputable, vetted, um quality sources of information as you go about making your decisions. As you hear CEO conspiracies, do I think, as you said, sometimes it's not a CEO conspiracy, it's a plan, it's an agenda, and always, always, always follow the money. There are incentives for some to keep chaos and disruption going on. You just follow the money. Don't be fooled.
Well, I will just add to that and say, listen, when it comes to being a global citizen, I'm not always the best. It is very hard to keep up with all of the things that are happening across the world because it's hard to keep up with the things happening in the United States of America. Um, I am less of a conspiracy theorist because, again, I think all of this stuff is by design.
Mhm.
Um, it is designed to misinform the those who will not take the time to get informed. It is designed to create division because we've seen in history more than one time, especially amongst poor people, if they get together and whether it was, Jones County, Mississippi, or the 99%, you know, when people of a certain economic background get together, they can make a lot of change. But if you allow very wealthy people whose money and influence is far different from yours to shape your opinion about somebody who's in the same boat as you, but because their skin tone is different, all of that is by design. Again, the fact that you have an education system that we're deliberately dismantling and we don't want people to actually know history, understand history, or learn from history, all of it is very deliberate. So I'm less of a conspiracy theorist. And what I would challenge us to all do is figure out how we can dismantle these systems that are made, that were built and intended to oppress and divide.
Well, with that being said, we are signing off for tonight. Don't be fooled out there, y'all. And listen,
Wrap it
listen.
up, sister.
No, listen, Linda, listen. Y'all stay focused. Stay focused and make sure that you are not a
I'm gonna say
pawn.
stay woke. Go back to stay woke. Don't let these people again hijack and bastardize what it means to be woke. If you are Awake, that means you're not sleeping on the job. Keep your eyes open and your ears tuned
And your
in.
head on a swivel. Because if you keep them eyes open, them ears open, and your mouth shut, you're going to learn everything you need to know. Stay focused. Y'all have a wonderful evening, and we look forward to seeing you next week on Hey Sister. Peace.